Hi, everyone. Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. Let's give it up for Seed AI for pivoting so hard to get us all in here, the Seed AI team. Thank you to the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation and the NSF for supporting this great event. My name is Melissa Hopkins. I'm a senior policy advisor at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security and assistant scientist in the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. So today, okay, that's me. So today, I'm going to talk to you about AI for the life sciences, which I think is one of the most important, if not the most important applications of AI that we could potentially see in terms of the benefits. My thesis for today is essentially that in order to unlock the benefits of AI, we need to do two main things, which is address some of the key bottlenecks, which is compute and data, technical talent, and capital. And we also need to build in some guardrails so that we don't have any accidents or harmful uses of AI, and then as a result of that, there's some regulation that clamps down on the distribution of AI and broad use of AI for the life sciences. So those might be things like evaluations and mitigations for risk, biological data governance, and strong biosecurity in general. So I'm going to make sweeping claims. AI has enormous potential in biology. Over the longer term, you'll see things like curing nearly all natural and genetic diseases by developing platform technologies for viral families, eliminating most cancers, improved treatment of chronic conditions, freedom over one's body, so that's weight. We already see GLP-1s making a huge difference in people's daily lives, but also appearance and reproduction and other things. And then lifespan extension in general. We could potentially just expand the lifetime and make people much more happier. But we also see that there are potential benefits in the field of biosecurity and winning the offense-defense balance. So I wouldn't be here talking to you today about potential putting in guardrails or anything if there wasn't an asymmetry of the offense-defense balance in biosecurity. So this is a chart from a recent report from RAND looking at the offense-defense balance in biology. You'll see that there's some that most things here will track onto favoring offense. So, for example, in biology, infectious pathogens self-replicate and they can move from person to person very easily. But for biology, for medical countermeasures, we can only develop medical countermeasures one by one, and we have to distribute them one by one. We can't self-replicating distribution of medical countermeasures, unfortunately. Go back. But AI can potentially address this offense-defense balance. We could have medical countermeasure distribution and production strongly improved through AI. That includes stockpiling and supply chain optimization. We could have improved early warning systems that are able to detect novel pathogens in a much faster speed than is currently possible so that we can disperse resources to address those. We could have next-gen PPE design and better manufacturing and other things in the built environment like far UVC or better air filter technology, etc. And then also AI could potentially help with bioattribution and just affecting deterrence in general, whereas if you can tell where a bioweapon came from, people might be less likely to use the bioweapons in general. So key bottlenecks that we're currently seeing for AI distribution for the life sciences. This won't come to a shock as anyone working in the field, but compute and data are huge bottlenecks for AI in the life sciences. We see in the next 5 years, Epoch AI did some projections. We also, at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, did some interviews and found that these will be problems for biological R&D in the next 5 years, and they'll disproportionately impact the smaller research groups and startups that may not have the resources to train and deploy large AI models. And there are some things being done about this at the federal level, which is the NARE, the National AI Research Pilot, the Genesis mission, which is at the DOE, kind of compiling all the data there and making it AI ready. The American Science Acceleration Project, which Senators Rounds and Heinrich are working on and may have some bills coming out soon to accelerate AI for the life sciences progress in the next 25 years greatly. There's also a recent Section 245 in the NDAA that was just passed that is tasking the DoD with making biological AI AI-ready data, which probably scale has something to do with, and as well as our friends in NSCEB. These will be important to solve this bottleneck, but we do need a lot more. The NARE was originally conceived before we needed much more, before the scaling had happened, and we need a lot more compute to be able to deal with this now. And so CSET had done a report back in 2024 finding that all the resources of the NARE combined could only have about 50,000 H100 GPUs, whereas some of the larger labs at the time had acquired about 150,000 H100 GPUs. So if you want to have smaller research groups or academic labs or the public sector in general to be able to do cutting edge research in the same way that the private sector is doing cutting edge research in the biological sciences, we'll need to provide a lot of more resources to the NARE and scale it much more if we want to take it from pilot to a full program. Another bottleneck is technical talent. The Council of Economic Advisors had found in a report last year that demand for AI talent appears to be growing at an even faster rate than the increasing supply of AI talent trained in US colleges and universities. Now, if we want to compete with China on AI, and specifically AI in the biological sciences, they just have a lot more people there. It's not the case that we can just train talent alone through our universities and that will be sufficient for the coming challenge in being able to compete globally. We will need to bring in talent from outside of the United States and keep them here in order to compete. So this could potentially involve increasing the number of students training at US institutions, through different incentive programs, increasing postgraduate inflow of students trained abroad, and reducing postgraduate outflow of students trained in the United States, as well as providing incentives for capable workers to switch to AI sectors. And I will say that at the AI BioNexus, this is kind of a particularly tricky problem because we've found that you will have a lot of people trained in AI, or you will have a lot of people trained in bio, but there's not a lot of crossover between these two sectors. So bringing more people from AI and bio into the same room and into the same training programs would be helpful. Okay, and so particular guardrails that we would potentially want to see at different levels of governance. So this could be the government providing evaluations and mitigations, but it could also be at the university level, and it could also be at the lab level. And so I have these two Grok 3 generated images of people searching for a biosecurity vulnerability within their model. One is without kind of guidance on what exactly you're searching for, because there are just probably too many biological vulnerabilities that you could potentially find or search for, and it's really frustrating for especially labs and smaller labs that don't have a lot of resources to be able to feel like they're doing a sufficient job of looking for biosecurity vulnerabilities. In comparison, if they do have guidance, they have a smaller search radius, and they're able to look, for example, if you're telling them to look for, anthrax, or you're telling them to look for a biosecurity vulnerability that, not a state actor, but a lone actor would be able to use. They have a smaller search radius, and it makes their job a lot easier in being able to deploy their models faster. And I just want to, this is a chart from NTIA. They had published a report called, something about open source models with widely available weights, and thinking about just safety and security for those kinds of models. And we have on this axis the different actors that could be enabled to create a weapon. On the other axis, we have where those individuals could get the materials to make a weapon, and then different mitigation options depending on the actor and where they can get a weapon. So for biosecurity, specifically on number 3, the mitigation option, you see that there are security controls for API-based fine-tuning of closed models using specific types of data, for example, biosecurity data, biological data. And you could see that they recommend that for someone with a specialized bachelor degree or a hobbyist who could get materials from a specialty supplier or have a light legal burden, you might want to have these particular mitigation options for your models. And I will say too that for biological AI models in the life sciences, they are typically open source. And so the concern, the security concern there is not so much releasing the model and having strict controls on it as much as it is on the biological data itself. Because if you have an open source model but the concerning data is not available online anywhere, you cannot take the model and then tune it to do something potentially harmful. So it's kind of governance on the front end rather than on the back end. Great. And so we talked a little bit just now about biological data governance. Happy to talk more with anyone about that afterwards, but also in general, stronger biosecurity. So this could mean things like having stricter lab security controls at your universities, having guidance around in silico AI research. So there is a lot of wet lab research governance, but you can also take that and try to translate it into in silico AI in silico governance for models as well. Great. Thank you. So we must overcome R&D bottlenecks and building guardrails to realize its immense benefits. Thank you so much.